Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. By DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. In-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation. And by PillPack, a full-service online pharmacy that combines modern technology, convenient packaging, and personalized service to make your life easier. Visit pillpack.com/twit to save $20 on vitamins and OTCs when you transfer your prescriptions. This is Ham Nation, episode number 251, June 8th, 2016. Lever nuts and more from George. Hey, look who, I'm sorry, did I scare you? I didn't mean to. Look who it is. It's me and most of the well, you know what I mean. The assembled throng, the standard players here for Ham Nation. We're missing Gordon because he's off, I don't know, doing Gordon stuff, whatever it is that he does. But we have Dr. Bob here, so let's go around the horn and say hi to everybody. Hello, Dr. Bob.
Hello, Don. Nice to have the whole team here because Amanda's with us at the beginning. That's kind of neat. Gordo, by the way, he is teaching the Coast Guard. He's doing a real neat thing that he does once a month here. He teaches the Coast Guard about the radios. So it's a very life-saving event of Mr. Gordo, and we appreciate him doing that. And might save our life sometime. So I've got some pictures from him, but mainly I've got something. I'm going to answer a couple of questions tonight about how to hook your scope up. I know we've touched on it, but we're going to do it again. And I got some things about Audio Alley's, again, answering questions about how do I hook this up a little bit. So I know it gets a little boring sometimes because we repeat them, but that's what we got, Don. So we'll be here when you come back to us.
Very good. And going clockwise from that four shot, let's go up to, would be north from me, to Jackson, Mississippi, and what's going on with George. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Don. Sorry I missed you in New Orleans this past week. I wasn't here for Ham Nation Wednesday night because I was down in your neck of the woods there. Had a good time at the Broadcasters Convention and ate a little New Orleans food while I was there. But good time overall, and guess what? I've got wire, and we're going to talk about it a little later.
Wire. Good. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could tear you away from the rugby game. That's awesome. Let's now go over to Colorado, and we'll check in with Amanda. It's nice to have you at the top of the show. Dolan, how you doing?
It's weird. I'm not used to being ready this early. I'm usually still throwing on some mascara and stuff. So anyhow, hello, everyone, and stay tuned. I'm going to talk about a new bill that was just signed by our governor here for Colorado Aries. So stay tuned. And also, I'll be taking your questions all show long. So that's where I'm at. Thanks, Don.
Very good. Well, we're gonna start the show tonight with a little bit of news from Amateur Radio Newsline. Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2014. These are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, June 8, 2016. A life-changing and perhaps even life-saving change is coming to mountain peaks such as the Himalayas via amateur radio. Up there, climbers often know that the hardest summits they may ever have to face are the heights of safety. Amateur Radio Newsline's Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
Nearly 24 Bengalese mountaineers earned their amateur radio licenses in late May and will soon be using portable radios to provide climber safety, emergency rescues and, if need be, help with searches for missing and fallen climbers. A report in the Hindustan Times identifies two of the new hams as Dimpankar Ghosh and Subra Day, both well-known veteran mountaineers. The climbers' licenses are likely the first ever to be issued to any mountaineer. In addition to carrying HF radios with antennas in their backpacks, the guides will also be outfitted with transmitters that automatically send their position to base camp for tracking purposes in case of an emergency. The West Bengal Club's founder helped train and prepare the climbers for the recent licensing examination in late May. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
This past Memorial Day weekend, one group of hams in Fort Wayne, Indiana, hosted an event that made the word memorial into memorable for the military. Amateur Radio Newsline's Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
Honoring America's military members, whether they are veterans or those in active service, is a treasured tradition on a number of national holidays. But how do you publicly express the nation's gratitude to the men and women who died in service to their country? When you're a ham radio operator, you honor those sacrifices by organizing a tribute to those who are still serving today. That notion is what inspired Emory McClendon, KB9IBW of Fort Wayne, Indiana, to create an event called A Salute to Those Who Served. 13 years ago, he began this as part of Amateur Radio Military Appreciation Day, or ARMAD. This past Memorial Day weekend, for just a few hours outside the Praise Lutheran Church in Fort Wayne, ARMAD saluted past and present military members and even heard from a number of them personally. 2 veterans were among the guest speakers during the brief ceremonies, one from World War II and another from the conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq. McClendon is a veteran himself and knows the hard work of the military firsthand. A life member of Disabled American Veterans, he served in the U.S. Air Force for 4 years and the Indiana Air National Guard for 2 years. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Paul Brown, WD9GCO in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Some major gifts to amateur radio have been announced by the not-for-profit YASME Foundation.
The Foundation for Amateur Radio is receiving support for its 2017 to 2018 scholarship program. The ARRL Foundation will be helping with funds for its YASME Foundation Scholarship. A third grant will assist 2 young hams in Ethiopia who will participate in the youth contesting program in Estonia. The YASME Foundation is organized to support scientific and educational projects related to amateur radio, including DXing and the introduction and promotion of amateur radio in developing countries. Supporting grants were also given to other recipients to specifically support global HF operations. The foundation also announced 3 recipients of its Excellence Award, which recognizes achievement in technical, organizational, or operational areas. They are longtime educators Carol Perry, Tim Duffy, the ARRL's Western Pennsylvania section manager, and longtime amateur radio mentor and trainer Tom Roche.
That's Stephen Kenford, N8WB. Congratulations to all the winners. And finally, another reminder that the nominating period for the Bill Pasternak Young Ham of the Year Award is drawing to a close soon. You have just a few more weeks to nominate a deserving young radio amateur. Nominations close at midnight, June 30th. More info and the nominating form can be found on the Newsline website under the YHOTY tab. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for over 38 years and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Stephen Kenford, N8WB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And we do not have a solar update from Dr. Scove because she's been a little bit busy with a little event that's going on in Southern California called the Calabasas Fire. This is a pretty good-sized brush fire that came to within a mile of her home. And let's pop those pictures up, Brian. We'll look at those. These are some pictures taken from Tamitha Scove from her house. Those are actual flames. Those are very, very close, within a mile of her home. The flames got to within a mile of her house, and that's a picture from her front door, actually. And the mandatory evacuation zone got to within less than a mile of her home. She was home alone with her 6-year-old daughter. Her son was in Burbank, about 40 miles away. Now, that's a helicopter. If you look between those 2 trees, that's one of the zoom in on that, Brian, if you can. That's one of the fire drop water bombing helicopters. She said she typically saw 3 out of the 4 in the air almost all the time. So it got pretty intense. She's had some pretty bad sinus infection and migraines and everything else from all the smoke. And she was at home alone with her 6-year-old daughter while all this was going on. Her husband was at work about 40 miles away in Burbank. So it's been quite an ordeal. So, but the fire was put under control, about 80%, 75, 80% contained on Monday. And I think yesterday they announced that it was out. So her house is fine. The other house that she's selling is fine. Her family's fine. All of her friends are fine. There were only a few structures lost, and thankfully none of it, any of her friends or none of it belonging to her. So she's fine. The worst is over, and she hopes to, in fact, she's planning on having a video for us again next week. So she did tell me, I talked to her today for a good long while on the way home from work, and she said that if it wasn't for the support of a lot of people on social media, primarily Twitter, and her Twitter handle is @TamithaScove on Twitter. So if you don't follow her on Twitter, please do. She said she got support from an awful lot of the ham radio community, including a couple of guys I know that are in our chat room regularly from Australia. So a lot of hams were hitting her up on Twitter to check on her, see how she was doing, giving her some support. So if you don't follow Dr. Scove on Twitter, shame on you. You really should. It's @TamithaScove, TamithaSkov, @TamithaScove. Follow her on Twitter and send her a message of support. Let her know that you're thinking about her, because I told her that everybody loves her, and we're all we all love to see her reports and her smiling face, and great information, a great person, and she's just the best, and we really appreciate her. So she told me to pass on her appreciation to everybody who touched her on Twitter, giving her the support in this kind of a tough time. So Dr. T, we're with you, darling. And we do love you. We're going to go over to George now and get a word from ICOM, but I got an email from Tim Duffy tonight, Mr. DX Engineering. That's the email right there. Let me read that. Hola, Don. Who knew he was Spanish? Please let everybody know that DX Engineering is loaded with ICOM 7300s to sell. So since we're going to talk about ICOM, in stock, ready to ship from the ICOM 7300. So George, ICOMs are here, and they're ready to go. We got a word from ICOM, don't we?
Calling all stations.
The most popular on-air event is here. Field Day, June 25th and 26th. Make sure your ICOM equipment is ready for action.
Limited space, no problem.
The IC 7100 base station is a great compact D-Star option. Angled control head and touchscreen for quick, intuitive operation. Large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and it's perfect for multi-bands and all-mode communications.
Be one of the first to experience
how ICOM is changing the way receivers are being designed with ICOM's new IC 7300. It will exceed expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot.
the sky's no limit.
With IC 9100, the versatile all-around transceiver, multi-band, multi-mode, independent dual receivers, satellite mode operation, optional D-Star DV mode with the UT121, and USB connector for PC control. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM's radios. And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation. Register to win for some great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. And while you're there, learn how you could win in the monthly grand prize drawing for radio. And for June, that's right, it's the ICOM ID5100 dual band, dual watch VHF UHF transceiver, touchscreen, analog and D-Star, internal GPS, DV and FM repeater lift-up function, available Bluetooth unit and headset, Android application, and a lot more. So go to icomamerica.com/amateur and register to win. Or you can just take the one away from Don Wilbanks. Well, I've got a couple of things I want to mention here before I get into this wire here. And Don, I'm not afraid to use this stuff either. So just beware there. We, had a great time last month at Hamvention. We did the Ham Nation Forum there. We got video of it. Tommy Martin recorded the Ham Nation Forum for us. We showed a little clip here but now the full-length version is out there. If you'd like to watch it, the easiest way to find it is we've got it posted over on the Amateur Logic page there. Just go to amateurlogic.tv, and you'll find a link right there for all of the Ham Nation Forum from Hamvention 2016. And while you're there, you can also find the posting of episode 91 of Amateur Logic, also shot at Dayton Hamvention at the ICOM booth. And you'll find more Bob and Val in there. They were with us for that, as well as, well, a special guest appearance there by Darth Vader, Michael Coulter, W8CI. He's the spokesperson for Hamvention. There's Darth right there. You know, that's some good long-distance DX there, Don. We also had a little interview with Don Kunst and Arthur Kunst. Don, W3LNE, is vice president of K2BSA, and he was talking about all the scouting activity involving amateur radio and the upcoming Jamboree on the Air. And we met Arthur Kunst, Don's father, W3WM. He's 94 years young and still as sharp as a tack. He's been licensed as an amateur for 76 years. And as a matter of fact, he was on the air the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed. And he tells a very interesting story about that. So go check out the latest amateurlogic.tv and see that great interview. That right there, Arthur just, that made my whole Hamvention there, getting to speak with him and learn a little bit about, you know, days gone by of amateur radio. Well, I told you I had some wire tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. You know, if you've got this stuff here, sooner or later you're going to need to hook a couple of pieces together, splice them, and you've got several ways that you can do that. You can use some of this right here, which is one of my least favorite ways. I don't really like to use electric tape, but, you know, sometimes you have to. You can use these right here, these wire nuts, where you just stick a couple of wires up in there and you twist this together and cross your fingers that it all gets twisted up good and that doesn't slip off. You can use some of these right here, these butt splices, where you stick the wires in either end of it, and then you use a crimper and you crimp it all down and hope that stays together. And then there's a new product here that I was not even aware of. And our friend that you see over in the chat room so much, Chip, K9MIT, sent me some of these deals right here. And these are called lever nuts. Or depending on where you live, they might be called lever nuts. Anyway, it's some little connectors here. They got levers on them, or levers. You just pull it up. You take your wire. There's a strip gauge here on the side. You strip your wire back to the correct length. You just stick it up in the hole and clamp down on it. And it's in there good and tight. And I was looking for my note right here on it, which I seem to have misplaced, but I believe this can take anywhere from 28 gauge to 12 gauge wire. So not only that piece of Romex will work right there with it, I can also use some stranded. I believe this is 12 gauge right here. And it will clamp right down on that just fine too. And I can use some smaller wire, like, I believe this is probably 20 gauge right here. And it'll even clamp down on that. And I've got all three of those wires in there, very snug and secure. They're not going to pull out easily. And, you know, I wondered, well, how much current can that handle? And they're rated at 600 volts at 20 amps. So it'll handle a fair amount of current too. And, you know, I've used wire nuts, you know, with electrical wiring in homes and such before. And that works, but I think I feel a lot better about the stability of this lever nut here. And I was kind of, well, let me just say there's several different models. You can get them, with just 2 levers on it for 2 connections there. You can get 3 like the one I had there. Here's one here that has 5 different ones on it. Let's just try it here. It's your cables for your HF radio, your mobile. That's pretty good size wire there. And, your HF radio is probably 20 amps is going to be pushing it. So I really wouldn't recommend using one of these. However, it will fit on there just fine. So I would not mind at all using it with my dual band radio. And I was thinking, well, this is 20 amps. Can it really handle that? What's this all about? So, as we generally like to do when we get something new, we tear it up. And I looked in there to see what was in it. And it's this little piece of metal clamp right here. It's spring-loaded, and it is so strong, I cannot pull it apart with my fingers. The levers there are the only way to open that up where it'll grip the cable. So I feel pretty good that, it's going to hold your wire in there good. And for up to 20 amps, boy, these things, I think that's the way I'm going to do a lot of my connections in the future involving power. 20 amps and below, I think these are the way to go. And you can find them. I haven't seen them here locally, but I think Home Depot may have them. I looked for them online, and they're between 40 and 50 cents a piece, I guess, depending on, how many contact positions there are on there. But there you go. Lever nuts, highly recommended, smoking solder approved. Now, last week I asked a question: how might you obtain a list of active nodes that use voice over IP? And your choices were A, from the FCC rulebook, B, from your local emergency coordinator, C, from a repeater directory, or D, from the local repeater frequency coordinator. Well, Donald, W5DRO, knew the answer, and he said, George, it's C, from a repeater directory. So congratulations, Donald. We're going to send you out this nice DX Engineering 24-hour wall clock here. They'll be getting in contact with you right away and getting that over to you. Now, in case you didn't want a clock and you need a clock, well, I've got another one I'm going to give away next week. And it's this MFJ giant 24-hour LED alarm clock, the MFJ 113. If you'd like to win this, then answer this question for me. Which of the following results from the fact that skip signals refracted from the ionosphere are elliptically polarized? A, digital modes are unusable. B, either vertically or horizontally polarized antennas may be used for transmission or reception. C, FM voice is unusable. Or D, both the transmitting and receiving antenna must be of the same polarization. If you think you know the answer to that, why, when skip signals are refracted from the ionosphere, they're elliptically polarized, what are the results? Send your answer to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you might win this MFJ 113. And now let's go back to Don and see what else we've got from DX Engineering.
I've never heard of elliptical polarization. Where's that question come from?
It comes from the amateur radio technician exam. You are a technician, or you were at one point, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I don't, it's been so long ago, I don't remember it all. See, now, you're going to make me get out the Gordon West book, aren't you? All right, I will look that up. Now, can you do DX with elliptical polarization? I don't know. I don't even know what that is, but I know what Heard Island is. Did you make contact with Heard Island? I didn't. But if you did, there's a good chance it was because of an E-antenna product. E-antenna, chosen as one of the official antenna providers for the VK0EK Heard Island D expedition. And they're based out of Spain. Now, getting a Spain-based E-antenna or anything from them in the U.S. has been a challenge. until now, because our friends at DX Engineering is now the exclusive distributor of e-antenna products, and they are in stock, ready to ship today. They have a wide range of the e-antenna Yagi and dipole antenna designs found in some of Europe's most prominent contesting and DX stations. They're budget priced, and DX Engineering has several of them. High-performance antennas, too, and they are in stock and ready to go to your QTH today, not tomorrow, today. Active DXers and contesters love the e-antenna because of the company's obsessive attention to detail, precision manufacturing, and they use high-quality hardware. Some of the most popular models are the 5.9 Plus multi-band Yagi that gives you 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10-meter bands. But yet, the boom is only 20 feet long, actually a little bit less than 20 feet long. So you got to check this out. And also, the 5.9 Plus is rugged and durable. It will survive winds close to 100 miles an hour. That is Category 1 hurricane. Category 1 goes to 95. The 5.9 Plus antenna's efficient design also delivers close to 7 dBi gain on 20 and 9 on 10. Front-to-back ratios are greater than 22 dB on all bands. And if you're short on space, they have a 7-band HF rotatable dipole with a turning radius under 10 feet. The EA Delta 7B gives you 40 through 10-meter coverage with the ultra-compact footprint. Optimal conditions, you can expect over 6 dBi gain. And it's rotatable, so you can null out RFI or geo-target your signal. Are you a VHF operator? Well, the EA 270 ZB13 or ZB13 is a high-performance 2-meter, 70-centimeter dual-band Yagi. The boom is less than 5 feet long. 10 dBi gain on 2, 11 dBi on 70 centimeters. Small design, rugged construction allows it to withstand winds in excess of 100. And that is low Category 2 hurricane. We're in hurricane season now. So, of course, living down here on the Gulf Coast, I got to know all that. And it will handle 500 watts. So you can put your fire in the wire. DX Engineering ships faster than anybody else in the industry. You know that, especially if you've ordered. You've gotten your order in by 10 p.m. Eastern. And if your item was in stock, it would be on a truck headed your way tonight. And that includes the ICOM 7300. Tim Duffy gave me this email. Says we are loaded with IC 7300s. They're in stock and ready to go. So if you've been looking or you've been on a waiting list somewhere else, no more. They've got them ready to come to you. DX Engineering helps you shrink the globe. Request your catalog. Shop online 24/7, 365 at dxengineering.com/hamnation. They're lovely people. We like them. They like us, and we all like you. So there you go. DX Engineering. Thank you so much for your support of Ham Nation. They have audio stuff too. They carry a lot of Heil stuff, and we've got Mr. Heil stuff. Mr. Heil stuff. Who do you? No, that's a whole different song. What's Audio Alley like, Bob? Tell us, please. We need to know.
Oh, golly, how much fun. I have a first Dale report. Dale is he's really had a tough time, and he had pneumonia, and then he had some other issues, and they gave him some wrong medicine and stuff like that. But he's okay. He's going to be back soon. I think maybe another week he'll have some things together. So he's doing good. And he said to be sure and tell everybody that he misses us, and not as much as we miss you, Dale. So speedy recovery and all that. But he's doing okay, and he will be back shortly. Gordo is gone. As we said earlier, he's with out with the Coast Guard. He does this periodically, where he goes in and teaches the Coast Guard about their radios, how to operate them, and mainly how to hook them up and make the antennas work better. It's really tough making an antenna work on a boat because you don't have a good ground plane, really, so it's all fiberglass. But he's the guy. I wanted to mention we're going to have it'll probably be, let's see, in a couple of weeks, for sure we'll have Nick on. But I want you to circle on the calendar July 23rd, because a whole bunch of us characters are going to be there. And it's in Wes Shum, the father of single sideband. It's at his farm. Unfortunately, he's passed away. But we've been there a couple of years where he was with us. You probably remember some of those great videos we had with Wes. And Nick Tusa is carrying the tradition. But now it's just going to be a big field day not on field day. Don't get it mixed up. But it's going to be a super time out in a big tent where we're going to bring things that you've never seen before. There are going to be some incredible homebrew transmitters that were built back in the 50s. And Bill, what do you think I'm going to take? I should take my Harvey Wells, but I think I'm going to take the ICO, and we're going to take all this stuff down there and hook it up, and it'll all be working. We're going to be on the air working field day type stuff now in July. So I'm really excited about it, and we'll see you there. So we'll have more about that. I am answering questions tonight. I get so many as I talk about. Just had one in the about the coax probe. How do you do that? How do you hook up a scope? One of the guys bought a scope at a ham fest, and now he said, I remember you had something about that. How do you do it? Well, that's how simple it is. That's just a piece of coax, a center connector of regular ORG8U, big stuff. And it just goes from connector to connector. So when you hook it all up, your antenna just goes straight through. However, what we do there is we put a little pad and a coupling capacitor over to the scope. It's that simple. And again, you can make this happen. Get out your soldering iron, and if you don't have one, let's get one, and George will show you which end to hold. That's really important. Yes, it is. And there it is. It's just so simple, and you should do this. It'll be a great project. Just hook up from transmitter on through, and away you go. It's so cool. It's a straight piece of wire, and then 680, 51K resistor, couple it out with a cap, and you're there. So I hope that helps you, because it's important to have an oscilloscope. It really is, because they will tell you so much. You'll learn about your signal. And that way you'll know if you're flat topping, which means you're distorting. It's not linear. And we'll need to get into that one of these nights. We should get into some scope patterns for you so you know what you're looking at, actually. But that'll help you a little bit get that going. And what I'm going to do here quickly is I'm going to answer more about this hooking up a mixer. Yes, it's important, but not for the microphone. Every transmitter today, every one of them practically has equalization in it. So you don't have to go outboard all this. All you're doing is causing yourself a lot of grief with ground loops, RFI, and all kinds of trash that you don't need. Any of these transceivers today have some form of equalization. Even back into the, in the late 90s with some of the Kenwood things, at least they had high boost that you could shape and get some articulation from. So forget about putting a mixer on the front end. Where it really counts is the receiver. And why is because the amplifiers in all of these transceivers today, and I'm sorry, it's all of them at any cost, they're not very good. They're very, very distorted. And you're saying, well, mine sounds fine. Wait till you hear what happens when you get rid of that amplifier. Here's the deal. Your receiver, I don't care what it is. It can be $10,000 and it could be $150. They all have a product detector. They come out of there into a pin in the back. Yes, you're going to have to work on that DIN plug probably. Some of them even have jacks sometimes that go RCA and stuff. But you find that output. It's data out, audio out, and that's what you want to deal with. And I had this question, and there's what led me into this. Why can't I take the speaker out? Well, you know what? You can. The only situation is we're trying to get rid of this. This is where the distortion is. Yeah, if you run it at low level, you'll get by perhaps. Distortion's going to happen when you got it cranked up a little bit, but you can try that. But here's the problem. Situation perhaps. You're getting about 3 or 4 volts out to drive a speaker. That's what that amplifier is doing. Whereas before, the input to the amplifier, it's only a 1/4 volt or so. That varies a little bit. So what do you do from there? Like, how are you going to do this? Well, it's extremely simple. First of all, you have to go find the accessory plug. Look in your manual. If you've never opened your operating manual, you might want to do that. And it'll tell you what pin that you're going to have to grab. And then you come out of there and you're going to go into the mixer. Now, here's an important point. You know, we've talked about all of this stuff in mixers, but we very seldom, I don't know if we've ever talked about what's above it. In a mixer, we have a preamplifier of about 60 decibel for low-level microphones. But we also have a line-in. There's an amplifier between these two, just like we had in the receiver out. In the input of this is the same deal. For microphones, we need a lot of gain. So we go in here. You can't plug a microphone in here. No, it won't work. Here it's balanced. Use a balanced microphone. Go into there. Now, here comes the good part. See this little bitty knob? It's the most important knob. If you have 150 knobs on your mixer, and some do, that gain control is the most important. It has a total of 60 dB of gain, and you set that for the input level, whether it be line input of a 1/4 volt or whether you're going to have the microphone input. So that sets the gain of that whole input. And you have to determine what you need for gain, and you do it by down underneath, usually around the volume control of that channel will be an LED, and it'll flash when you're overdriving it. And you just turn that little guy down until it doesn't flash anymore. You want to keep it flashing maybe just a little on big peaks, but that gain control is monitored by an LED down in the channel somewhere. And each channel has an LED to tell you where to set that gain control, whether it be a low-level mic or whether it be a real hot input from a line input. There's also another thing a lot of them have, and this is called a low cut. When you do that, it'll roll off everything under about 80 hertz. And this makes it sound a lot cleaner, especially here on ham radio. You don't need all that big tubby bass insert. That's for if you wanted to insert a special thing, you go in and back out that same jack. We don't even use that in the ham radio market, but that lets you see what happens and how you're going to do it. And basically, when you get it all finished, there you are. You come out of that line level of your receiver, you go into the line level, not the microphone level, and set the gain control so the LED is not flashing on peaks. And you come out of the main out into the powered JBL speakers. This also, if you use headphones, mixers have beautiful headphone amplifiers. I mean, really, really good headphone amps. And I'm starting to hear from a lot of the DX and contest crowd, they've figured it out. I think they might have been watching me a little bit on Ham Nation. I know I'm so repetitive about this stuff, but if you don't just keep driving it home, everybody forgets it. I'm telling you, we all should be doing this. If it's no more than doing that for a really good headphone amp with equalization, oh my gracious. So that's really cool. And you get a great headphone output, and then the main out can drive your JBL. And this powered speaker's where it's at. That's got two 35-watt amplifiers in it, and it's really cool. But no matter what you do, how you do it, and this is where a lot of guys get in a little bit of trouble. You want to make all of your adjustments. You want to do them slowly. You want to do small adjustments and try to listen to your own signal on another receiver, and don't do 2 or 3 or 4 things at once. Well, let's see how this sounds. No. Do them a little at a time and evaluate what you're hearing. And I know you're going to get on with your buddies you talk to every night, and unless you do it right there to be able to do a strict A/B comparison, it's hard to. Well, how's that sound tonight compared to last night? The human brain can't remember that. Can't do that. So you want to pay attention to what you're hearing. And sometimes your monitors, some of the receivers have pretty good monitors. Some of them are not too good, but they're getting better. And so there you go. And all I can tell you is continue playing with some of this stuff. It's not difficult, and it's getting very inexpensive. I mean, really inexpensive. It's just darling, because you're going to spend $200 or more for just a stupid little 50-cent speaker and a box painted the same color. No, take that money. You'll be able to put a little bit in your pocket, maybe enough to buy your wife a pair of shoes or a purse, and still buy you a little mixer. And there you go. You're going to make her really happy. Trust me, I know, because I buy a lot of shoes for her. But anyway, that's kind of my story, and keep your questions coming, because we're going to continue trying to make things better for you and really better for all of us, because we have to listen to you. That's what one guy said to me, and I said, "Hey, Heil, you talk about all this stuff. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care how I sound, because I don't have to listen to myself." I said, "Yeah, but we do." So what can I tell you? So, Don, how do we solve that one, that nobody cares how they sound because we have to listen to them? What do you do about that, Don?
I don't worry about those kind of people, Bob. But you know, these mixers, I use a Behringer. I've had the Behringer mixer forever. Very inexpensive. The Alesis is not that much more. They're both very, very good mixers. The Alesis is better than the Behringer for sure. But you were saying you could probably afford your wife a pair of shoes as well. You'll probably pay more for the shoes and the purse, or the shoes or the purse, than you will for the mixer. It's
there's
amazing.
No question about that.
Yeah, no, they're amazingly affordable. So yeah, get yourself that, and it's the way to go. And it's not difficult to hook up. You will not give yourself a headache. And even if you do, we have PillPack.
You just have to make sure you have 3-band EQ. You don't want bass and treble. You got to have the mid-range, because you're never going to use that 10K. We've talked about that before. And you can do this for $50 or so. So have fun. And you're right, Don. You will probably spend a little more on the shoes, but look at all the happiness you will have in your house.
That's right. Happy wife, happy life. That's the way that goes. And even if you do give yourself a headache, it won't be because of the audio. It'll be because, I don't know, you're listening to somebody else's crappy audio. But you always have PillPack. And that way you can take care of your headache, or anything else at LG, as a matter of fact. This episode of Ham Nation brought to you by PillPack. They are a full-service online pharmacy. They will make you wonder why you ever messed with traditional pharmacies. I know you had to. Well, now you don't. With PillPack, you never have to wait around for your prescriptions. You can sort your own pills. You don't have to. You don't have to chase down your doctors for refills either. The pharmacists at PillPack take care of everything. They use advanced technology to sort out all your medications and vitamins by the date and time for each dose. You can order inhalers, creams, diabetes supplies. Those come refrigerated in easy-to-open packages. And shipping, of course, is always free. The pharmacists are always available 24/7. You can speak with them from the privacy of your own home, or even if you're on the go. You're driving down the road and you got a question, you can call PillPack, and they're always available. So you never have to worry about that. Drive through the pharmacy, go get a prescription filled, and what? The drive-thru's closed? Oh, no. See, there are no closed hours at PillPack. They have truly designed their pharmacy to make your life easier, and they have very quickly disrupted the pharmacy industry. Yes, the big pharmacies, they are watching. What's great is that PillPack is compatible with most major insurance plans, including most forms of medical Medicare Part D. The service is free. It means you only pay for copay set by your insurance provider. And if you're worried about well, gosh, this big blue box in my hand, look at this, Brian. If you're worried that maybe, I don't know, you're going to fill up the trash can with this, PillPack is an environmentally friendly company. Please recycle with soda bottles made with 80% recycled PET. That is the same stuff that your soda bottle, your Coke bottle, Pepsi bottle, Dr. Pepper, whatever you like. It's the same thing that's made out of. So this is recyclable. Throw it in with your recyclables. They're a good company. They're good for the environment. They help a lot of charities as well. They're a really, really good company, and you should do business with them. Here's what I want you to do. Visit pillpack.com/twit. You can sign up now. It only takes 5 minutes. Go get started. And when you use the link, pillpack.com/twit, and transfer your prescriptions to PillPack, you'll get credit for $20 worth of vitamins and OTCs. Pillpack.com/twit. It will make your life so much easier. I think back to when we were in Cincinnati. My mother-in-law, she had to go up to Cincinnati real quick when my brother-in-law was ill. And I've got the pictures. We've shown them before of her sitting there at the kitchen table in Cincinnati at my brother-in-law's house, spending 40 minutes where she could have been at the hospital with Michael. But no, she's fooling with prescriptions, putting them in the little 7-day thing because she had to have them FedExed from home because they left in such a hurry. She'd have grabbed the blue PillPack box, thrown that, one for her, one for my father-in-law, in with their bags. Problem solved. PillPack. You're going to love it. Pillpack.com/twit. Amanda, we've got some extra time for you tonight. We normally give you short change, but we've got a good 15 minutes for chat room tonight. So throw them at us.
Okay. Thank you, Don. I'd like to talk about a bill that was recently passed in Colorado. So Brian has a picture to show everybody. This is really important for our Aries group, not only here in Colorado, but for everywhere in the nation. So, Brian, you want to show that picture? Okay. Thanks, Brian. So, let me first explain what the bill is. This is HB 16-1040. Colorado's Section Emergency Manager, Robert Wareham. Oh, no, he's not an emergency manager. I take that back. He's an emergency coordinator. Robert Wareham, N0ESQ, he penned this bill, and it was sponsored by Representative Jonathan Singer, who's in this picture, and Senator Chris Holbert. Basically, this new Colorado law has created an auxiliary emergency communications, or OXCOM, as they call it, unit with the state's Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. The action implements recommendations contained in a 2012 FCC report to Congress regarding amateur radio's role in disasters and emergencies. While the new law makes it clear that the unit is comprised of unpaid ham radio volunteers, it for the first time authorizes reimbursement of reasonable and necessary expenses of auxiliary communicators and broaden the circumstances under which any disaster volunteer could receive workman's compensation benefits and tort immunity. So the statute puts volunteer amateur radio operators on an equal footing with volunteer firefighters and other rescue workers with respect to legal benefits and protections. So reading the bill is kind of complex, and I didn't really understand it. But basically, if you get the credentialing as an Aries person to become part of the OXCOM team, you are now qualified to be working with Homeland Security. And not only that, but you will get the same benefits of compensation for exercises, events, incidences, and things of that nature. So Colorado is the first one to pass this kind of bill, but they're actually looking for all states to start passing the same thing for their Aries communities as well. So that's why I'm wearing my Aries shirt tonight. I want to be proud of our Aries community here in Colorado. So that's all I have on that, you guys. First question, Bob. Simon ZL2FAE says he noticed your antenna mount on your trip to Dayton, and it looked like it was a number plate mount. Was it an off-the-shelf product or a homebrew that you did?
No, it was from MFJ. MFJ makes this really great mount. Gosh, I could have had a picture if I didn't know. We'll have to. I'll do it next week. MFJ, they have it. It's really cool because I didn't want. I went 2 cars without having any kind of radio in them because I didn't want to drill a hole in them. And N0 SAP, my good friend Dave, who's going to be at the Boat Anchor Fest with us down in Jonesboro in July. Dave had it in his car one day. He helps me put up antennas, he and Al, W0ERE. I said, what is that? How'd you do that? And he said, it's MFJ. There's only one thing about it. It's made for little VHF whips of, a couple feet long. I use hustlers on this baby. So Dave took it and just wrapped it with a piece of aluminum. But man, it's great. I've had it for years and I've made 4 or 5 trips back and forth to Dayton. And check it out. MFJ's got it. It's just a regular mount. So that will work very well.
Very good. Well, thank you, Bob, for that. And Simon appreciates knowing that as well. The next question, again for you, Y Guy wants to know, does mobile radios like the Yaesu FT7900, the 2-meter 440, have an equalizer too?
The Kenwood 440, TS 440?
No, the FT7900 for 2 meters and 440. Does that have an equalizer too?
No. None of the 2-meter FM radios do not have any equalization. It's all done for you. They do a pre-emphasis, de-emphasis in the preamp, and no, it's a whole different ball game with FM. So you don't use anything there. It is what you got.
Very good. Well, thanks, Bob, for those answers. And the next one, I'm going to give this to George. George Skeeter, of all people, wants to know, how can I get an accessory plug for an ICOM IC718?
Well, I'm not sure what a 718 takes. It's maybe a 13-pin DIN. Just count up the number of pins on it. Go to Google and just type in 13-pin DIN accessory or cable or the model number of the ICOM rig there. You should be able to come up with some links. You can probably get it from ICOM, but probably through a dealer. But, I did some searching around one time looking for some of those DIN connectors with the pigtails already soldered on them. And they're actually out there on the internet. If you look around, you should find one for just about any radio out there. Okay.
And since you do the smoke and solder, if you wanted to make your own 13-pin connector, DIN pin connector, sorry, do you have a video on that? Can someone look that up online?
I think I actually did it on an episode of Ham Nation. I don't remember which one it was. It was probably one of the earlier ones. They might try looking on the wiki. I'm not sure if it'll be listed as 13-pin DIN or accessory or ACC, but do some searching on the Ham Nation wiki there, and you should come up with that.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I can't help it. I gotta laugh. The rugby shirt. You never wear anything like that, George. What's going on? Did you go to a job interview today?
No, I found it in my closet, and that's where I get all my clothes from, Amanda.
You get all of your clothes from the closet, and who miraculously puts them all there?
My wife.
I'm sorry. It was too funny when you said it earlier. I died laughing. Oh boy. So Brian, I'm going to talk about Facebook, and if you don't mind going to our Facebook page while I'm talking about joining us on Facebook and following us there. By the way, if Val was here tonight, she'd be telling you about the VHF contest coming up this weekend. So get your 6-meter. Jeff is thrilled. He's actually driving the Rover today, or this weekend. We've been working on the Rover today, I should say. And he's looking forward to this weekend as well. And if you go to our Facebook page, you can actually see a picture of our Rover vehicle. And it's crazy. Jeff was out at the car. You were at the car wash today, right? And people were like, "Are you a spotter?" yeah, they thought he was a storm chaser. So, Brian, did you find the Facebook page? Maybe.
Tell you what, while he's looking for that, I will tell you that the ICOM, I know that this the ID51 and the ID5100 both have some adjustable EQ settings for transmit and receive. So I know the ICOMs do. The Kenwood and the Yaesus I do not know, but I know that the ICOMs do have those settings. I'm trying to find them. They're buried in the menu, and I'm having a hard time finding them, but they're in there because I've adjusted mine a little bit. So
yeah,
have you?
I know they're in the 51 because we played with those one time, and it's not a super tremendous difference. You wouldn't want the bassy one. I remember that, but I think it was maybe like 3 settings in there, something like that.
Something like that, but I don't remember exactly where it is in the menu. I'm looking, but I can't remember how to work this thing.
They've done a really good job when they develop the input sections of those microphone inputs on the FM rigs. They've done what we call pre-emphasis, de-emphasis. They've rolled off things. They've increased things. They've done that for decades. So we don't need a lot of extra stuff on FM. So we've been really lucky.
No, as a matter of fact, I just want to comment on that. If you EQ your mixer or whatever you've got there for your HF rig to make it sound the way you want it, and you use that same EQ settings on your VHF, UHF rig, it'll sound like mud. I mean, it'll sound horrible. You really don't want to do a lot of EQ into your VHF rig.
No.
Very good.
No.
You know, I've been told, though, a lot of times I sound like a 13-year-old boy. So I try to add bass to my voice because I do have kind of a problem with sounding like Minnie Mouse and things like that. So I see if I turn this down and I'm like, wee, 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 all squeaky. And so I turn it up a little bit to give me a little bit of age, I guess. I don't know how else to put it.
Hey, Amanda, we've got some really nice shots that Gordo wanted us to show everybody here during this segment. He was at SeaPac, and wow, what a great fest they had. Look at all the people that was at SeaPac this time. Amazing. Really, that's a really good show right there on the ocean, and I was really happy to see this. And a lot of the Hamfest are really growing in their forums and their substance, and of course then the attendance. But they're getting their programs together. But those SeaPac guys have got it together. So wanted to show those from Gordo. He wanted to make sure we got those up. I don't know if we had any more or not, but there you go. So see what else you got here for the guys and gals, Amanda.
Okay, well, first I'll make the announcement. Since we're talking about Gordo, he sent me one too. A Summer Ham Fest has been moved to June 12th, 2016 at Briarcliff College. Evidently, if you guys know about the Briarcliff College Ham Fest, it's June 12th. So I just read, Minnie, really? Thanks, Brian. That's... Did you find my Facebook page?
He ain't even right. Brian, he ain't even right.
Brian.
Bravo.
Hey, we found it. It's in the DV set menu under tone control. Let's show you on this.
That's what we were hearing. I was wondering what was talking to us.
I've got a question. Who's doing field day this year?
Ooh, field day. I love field day. Love it.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where. I'm not sure where I'm doing it, but I'm going to try to. So.
Me either. I'll be...
He ain't even right.
He's getting better at this.
I'm going to have nightmares forever. Oh, yeah. I'm so looking forward to field day.
Sorry, guys. I can't help it.
Brian, please. Did you find our Facebook page? Let's pull that up.
Oh, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
1 second.
Minnie Mouse. So anyhow, Valerie also is a huge fan of field day. So stay tuned. If she's on here next week, going to go crazy about field day stuff. I love field day myself as well. Oh, what do you got, George?
I've been making antennas. I've got a 43-foot MFJ fiberglass mast that I'm going to run verticals on this year. So I've been cutting me some wires out here for my elements and radios for the various bands. And this will be the first year I've ever used a vertical for field day. So I'm going to see how that works out.
Ooh, that should be interesting. We usually go with a bunch of dipoles and G5 RVs. Don, what about you? You doing field day?
I did it from the house last year. First time I'd ever done a 1 Delta, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. 6 meters I made like 400 contacts, and almost half of those were on 6. It just 6 meters exploded. But I may go out. We've got my local Pearl River County Amateur Radio Club. I may do that here in town. I may go back towards New Orleans to the Westside Amateur Radio Club. I'm a past president, a 2-time past president of that club. And it's been a while since I've seen some of those guys. In fact, we just lost a member, sadly, passed away. So I don't know. I'm going to do something, even if it's wrong. And it probably will be, but I'm going to do something. I just don't know where yet.
Yeah, it'll probably be wrong. But always show up for the food. At least you guys show up lunchtime, dinner time. You're going to get fed.
You know what we did one year? What we did one year with the West Side Club? We tried to do this and send the picture into to QST for field day pictures, but we never could do it. Some of our props kept disappearing. We had the little Coleman camp grill, and we always did, breakfast, bacon and eggs and everything else. We tried to spell out the call letters of the West Side Club, Whiskey 5 Alpha Bravo Delta. We tried to spell out W5 ABD and bacon in the frying pan, but pieces kept disappearing. We never could get it completely spelled out. So that may be a mission for this year.
There you go. Oh, that's funny. And we are so fortunate now. Our field day location with our new house is now seriously a football field away. So we get to walk there and walk back, and all of those things that you leave behind. You're like, oh, son of a, I left the patch cable, and you have to go back. We're really fortunate this year. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Great weather, too. So, okay, Brian. Thank you.
There it is.
If you don't mind scrolling down, I really wanted to show off our Rover. It is a news van. It was donated to Rocky Mountain Ham Radio Club, and we're just so proud of this little sucker. It's stored at our house right now, and it's going to be the Rover for the VHF contest. And yes, look at that 10 gig microwave up there. Yes. Yeah. It was a satellite uplink. Right? It was a satellite uplink originally, and I have my tutor back here in the background telling me about it. Anyhow, we look forward to working out of that, and look for K0JSC/R because we'll be using his call sign this year. So, all right, you guys, that's all I have. Let's go over some nets. I am seeing 40 meters on 72.25, and I'm not seeing where 20 is, but we have 14 Charlie for the D-Star, and of course, do drop in for Echolink. Don, did you see 20 meters?
No, I haven't. I've been haven't been watching the chat room real close. But if anyone knows if they're on 20, post that up real quick, and we'll be sure and mention it. But I have not seen anything about 20 yet. So get out there and support our nets, and also Dan Van Evenhoven does the Ham Nation Wiki. He works tirelessly on that every week for, what is this, 251 weeks now? This is episode number 251. So he puts out a lot of work on that, and we do appreciate it. So thank you, Dan. Yes.
Oh my!
Perfect.
That is
perfect.
perfect.
That's perfect. I have a hat, a golf hat.
Stick out your tongue. Yes. There you go. Perfect. I like it.
I have a golf hat with Goofy on it. That's funny. And I have a great big coffee cup with Grumpy on it. It just says Grumpy on it. That's my coffee cup at work. That's awesome. Brian, you're
back
the best.
here next week. More players will be here, and we had fun this week, and I hope you learned something. That's the main thing. Gordo will be return with us, and who knows what he'll bring back. But thanks, George, for those neat little connectors, and I know Chip had turned us on to that too. That was really great. Don, take care, and really nice to have you all the full show, Amanda. So without ado, we're going to tally off to 40 and 20, and wherever. So have fun on ham radio. That's what this is all about. This is K9EID and the whole crew from Pleasant Hope in the Ozarks. Bye-bye for now.
14268 is the 20-meter net. Good night, everybody.